Awesome. So, hello, everybody. My name is Sarah Trask, Small Business Specialist of the Columbia Economic Team, and Program Coordinator with the Small Business Development Center, which is hosting today's class. And we have a really exciting class today. It's a panel with local business owners. So, we're excited to dive in to their thoughts and insights. I'll be doing a short presentation on website best practices and SEO best practices at a high level. But we're really going to save most of the class for panel time. So, if you have questions that you want to ask fellow business owners, or questions for us, we'd be happy to answer those. So, without a further ado, to talk a little bit about us, the Columbia County Small Business Development Center, we offer free one-on-one confidential business advising. So if you want to work on your business plan, marketing plan, access to capital, marketing, hiring strategies, navigating regulatory processes, really, if you're like, I want to start a business or I'm growing my business and I just need someone to bounce ideas off of, we're happy to talk through those things. Jason is also a director of the Small Business Development Center. And Jason, do you want to add a few things and why you love doing this work?
Yeah, I mean, I just love getting to know our business community. And like Sierra said, advising isn't if you are in trouble or, I mean, if you are in trouble, come see us. But it's really for every step along the way in being a business owner and an entrepreneur. So just feel free to leverage us whenever you
Are you
can.
okay? Were you slipping or was that your knee?
Oh,
Your
Hi,
knee.
Rachel.
oh, right.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I didn't realize you
Hi.
unmuted me. My husband slipped on a thing. I apologize.
Oh,
You're good.
no, it's okay. But yeah, as
Awesome.
Sierra said, if you have any needs, feel free to. I think I recognize most everyone on the call. We've either worked in some capacity together or we've met in the community. So just make sure you hit us up if you have any business needs.
Yeah, always here for you. And then if you're not familiar with how the SBDC fits under the Columbia Economic Team umbrella, where I have this handy org chart right here. So the SBDC is part of the Columbia Economic Team, and our mission is to promote the creation, retention, growth, and attraction of business and industry throughout Columbia County. And then underneath that, we have the SBDC program, the Keep It Local Columbia County program that promotes local commerce and getting people to choose local first. We also host a Grow Greater program that has access to some capital programs. And so if you consider yourself an entrepreneur or a very growth-minded business, that's a great program for you. And then we're also the destination management organization of the county. I'm actually wearing the shirt today, but we do tourism as well, really focus on developing assets that people can enjoy, both residents and visitors. And so this class is also made possible by Wana Credit Union. So we make it free, and that's because Wanda's support, and they're an amazing organization. They really believe in educating people, giving them the tools and resources they need to succeed, whether that's through capital classes, teaching people about their credit, to supporting the Munch and Learn series that we're doing today. So appreciate Wana. And with every class, we like to do around the room. So I'm going to stop screen sharing for a moment. If you're willing to share, could you go around the room and say your name, your business, and then something you're hoping to learn about websites or SEO today? I'll start with Annie, since that's the first name I see. Some people also might be muted, so.
Yeah. Sierra, I think, yeah, some might just be listening in. So maybe
Yeah.
we'll start with people that are on camera. How about Rachel?
Hi, I'm Dr. Rachel Del Toro. I own and operate infusions and injections in St. Helens, Oregon, and I am listening for new ideas and just pearls of wisdom more than anything. I feel like I have a solid marketing plan, but I'm always looking to evolve and just tweak and look and be better.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Awesome. Melinda?
Okay, first of all, I need to say, Rachel, thank you so much for looking like you do, because I came on going like, girl, we need to fix our hair. And
Not
I love
today.
that you're just owning it. I'm Melinda Harding. I own My Northwest event, and I am your local event rental and planning company. I'm actually going to piggyback on what Rachel said. I know a good portion of website design and some SEO, but just trying to figure out new tips and tricks and make sure I stay ahead of the curve.
Mm.
Thanks for being here, Melinda, as your authentic self. So, Randy.
Hello, I'm Randy Levino. I'm one of the owners for Deer Island Dock and Door. And me and my wife are looking to start a website. So we're trying to learn as much as we can today and hear from everybody of, the positive things and some of the negative things and how we can avoid some of those negative startups on a website.
Thanks for being here, Randy. Natasha.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Natasha Parvey, Mental Happiness Media. I'm just here to observe and hopefully pick up a trick or two because websites are not my strong point. So, yeah, I just launched a new company, so I got to figure out how to get more people to my website. So
Cool.
thank you.
Thanks, Natasha.
You're welcome.
What else do we have on here? Mark?
Yes. And Mindy, I was a little concerned about my hair this morning too, so don't feel bad. And before we move on, happy birthday to Mindy yesterday. Um, I'm a business advisor with SBDC, and I'm on here because the more I can learn about all sorts of business angles, the better business advisor I can be.
Thank you, Mark. Teeny?
Yes, I'm having a difficult time with the video this morning, but and my allergies are kicking in, so so I'm glad to meet everyone, and I'm here to represent. I'm a partner in a company called Vintage Hardwood Flooring, and we're a business here in St. Helens, and I handle a lot of the bookkeeping and also the marketing, so I'm here to learn a lot of new things.
Well, thanks for being here. And thanks for
Thank you.
introducing yourself. Did we miss anyone that wants to introduce themselves? I know that Annie said that she was a little challenged getting unmuted there, and Kelsey is multitasking.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the chat really quick if anybody hadn't seen it, the people that are muted or can't speak.
Yeah, thanks for that, Annie and Kelsey and Danielle.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate all those that chimed in. We love having you here, and excited to go into the presentation today. If you want to introduce yourself more, feel free to add yourself to the chat. And then, there we go. And we'll get started. So I'm going to start with a short presentation on just some best website practices, and then we're going to dive into going into the panel. And so if you are not speaking, please mute yourself so the feedback won't come in, and we'll get going. So first question, and I actually get this question a lot, like, are websites even worth it? I have a Facebook page, isn't that enough? And if your bandwidth is that's all you can manage, then that might be only all you have. But I definitely highly suggest having a website, and there's a lot of reasons. But top 3 reasons I put here. One is 81% of retail shoppers conduct online searches before buying, and it's not just retail. Oftentimes, people will look for service-based businesses as well if they're trying to find a local contractor or any service, really. So this is a staggering number. Basically, most people find businesses first online before they find them by wandering around in the store or on the sidewalks. And so it's very, very important if you want to get found to have an online search and be found. Additionally, first impressions matter. So website design significantly influences consumer trust and engagement. We oftentimes will say with websites that it's at your 24/7 access point. It's basically that place where you're constantly having a front door open for people to learn about you, get to know you, and see you. So having that presence is important. And then additionally, we're moving into an era of AI becoming more and more prominent and integrated with our society. And along with that, AI really utilizes websites and the content that's within websites to be able to create answers. So if somebody is looking for a search and utilizing AI to find what's local, for example, even when you're searching on Google search right now, oftentimes people are just reading that first AI summary and not even scrolling down. And so if you want to be shown up on those kind of summary pages or even in AI in general, it's important to have a website. Additionally, where function really matters when it comes to website, I thought this was really interesting. Basically, users form an opinion on websites in 0.05 seconds. So basically, not even a second, we create these opinions of what we think of a website when we find them and look at them. And so that's pretty impressive that we're that quick to make a judgment. And it shows that it's really important that whatever your design is, whatever the look of your website, the feel of your website, and also the function of your website, it's important that that looks and presents itself well. Otherwise, people jump. And so, in fact, as you see on the bottom stat there, 47% of users won't wait longer than 2 seconds if a website won't load. So if you don't even show up for a while, they're going to jump. So make sure that your website's quick and responsive. And then the 38% of people will stop engaging with a website if they think it's unattractive. So it's almost half of people will basically disengage. And I think we can all think of a website that we've been to and we're like, oh no, I don't even want to continue to look into that one. And so it's important to have one that feels welcoming. And then this was interesting as well. 94% of users say that easy navigation is the most important website feature. You know, sometimes I lean towards design and look, and so I like that as a marketer. But when it comes to navigation, if you're not have an easy menu for people to search through or easy links that are cross-referencing page by page, then you're basically missing out on the most important feature that users are looking for. And then lastly, mobile devices are very important. So most of the time when people are searching online, they're searching on their iPhones or Androids. And so if your website is not built for mobile search and you've really only made it for desktop and it's not mobile responsive, then it's going to look very wonky when somebody clicks on it, and then going back to the unattractive and navigation, they're going to leave it. So it's important to have a mobile responsive website. So for design tips, going back into some more data too, people who spend only about 6 seconds looking at written content, 6 seconds navigating the menu, and about less than a minute looking at a page if they're going to stick on a page. There's another stat where I also saw that about 53% of people will jump and look only at your first page. And so there's all these stats that basically are showing that people don't want to spend a lot of time on websites. They just are going there, kind of perusing a little bit, learning about you, scanning it really with their thumb. And then they're going to like either engage with you or jump. And so it's really important when you think about the design of your website, you think about that kind of user experience and how people are utilizing their websites. So it's important to have a clear call to action at the top. And basically what that means is you kind of see it on this like dog picture, but there's a button that's very accessible. It's at the very front of your home page. What is that button that you want people to click? Is it shop with me? Is it call me? Look at my services, fill out my contact form. Whatever is the number one call to action that you want for your business, you should have at the top, and honestly, probably in your menu search option as well, because that's the action that people can clearly see. Okay, that's what I'm supposed to do here when on this website. Oftentimes, in fact, 77% of small business owners do not have a call to action on their page. Annie, your sound's coming through. Thank you. And so the call to action, 77% of small business owners do not have a clear call to action on their page, which is, that not a good strategy. If you're really trying to get people to do something with your website, they're either going to have to scroll and hope they find the right place to go to. So really having that clear call to action is one of my top pieces of advice. Also to have an easy to navigate menu. We touched on that before, but making it really easy for them to click on where they need to go. Not too many tabs, not too many places where you have to dig. There's a typo, sorry. Designed for scannability. So bullets, short paragraphs, clear headers. Those are all things that will, again, help that user experience when people are just wanting to see things for only just a few seconds. Mobility friendly, and then also using high quality compressed images. So if you take in a nice, really nice photo on a DSLR camera, like those pixel sizes will go well above 2000 or more. And so that will slow down your website. So it's important to compress that and make it more easy to use. But it's great that you're using high quality photos that aren't blurry or outdated. So additionally, when it comes to fonts, not to have too many different kinds of fonts because that will also slow down your speed of the website. Some SEO tips that we have today is keywords. It's important to incorporate relevant keywords to your business. So my husband owns a construction business. I just actually helped him make his website. And so when it comes to him, he doesn't do all construction, but so what kinds of construction he does do is custom homes, siding, decks, windows, all those type of things. So those are the keywords that we made sure to like sprinkle throughout the website so that when somebody is trying to find a contractor locally that does those things, those keywords come up. And so if your business has, I'll use Annie as an example with Richardson's Furniture. If you do mattresses, if you have the couches, those are keywords that people will probably be searching. And so incorporating that through your website and your titles is important. Meta tags, crafting meta titles is really important. And what that is basically when you do a Google search, you see the title of a listing, it's all big and blue. That's your meta tag. And so having those meta titles and then underneath we'll have like that description on Google. Those are important to actually create and make sure it's the right length and it's compelling and it's utilizing words that people actually look up. And so oftentimes your the program that you're using, like WordPress, Wix, or whatever website platform can help you with those things, but there's also plugins to help you find good keywords to put in your meta tags. Titles and photo content. So titling your photos, basically adding an alt text is oftentimes what you'll see on the back end. But if you had this photo of that dog in this picture, then you'd actually put like title that on the back end, this picture is saying dog looking out in the grass, or dog, if it's actually the dog of your business, and you can say our mascot. But that's just one example. Putting those titles and tags just create more places for keywords to be found, and it also helps Google be able to understand like what that content is. If you have somebody that needs an accessibility feature, then when they're like, say they're blind and they're doing like an audio viewing of your website, then that alt text is how the audio will be able to describe that photo. Additionally, internal linking, this is a very important like SEO tip. So you should have places on each of your pages that are connecting to other places on your pages. So on your home page, if you're trying to take people over to your services or your sale page or your About Us page, having those buttons linked into different sections, and then likewise on those other pages to do the same. That interlinking really helps your search engine optimization. Site structure, use clean, keyword-friendly URL, and logic site hierarchy, which a logic site hierarchy is basically like, really helping on the back end, the website understand like, this is my web homepage, about page, services page, and so on and so forth. Gain quality backlinks. So backlinks is your website being referenced on other websites, because Google and all of their search engines are going to see, okay, this business is legit. They actually show up in other places. They're not just this one-off website out of billions that they have. And so you can add yourself to the Keep It Local Columbia County directory for free. There's other directories. If you're part of a chamber, the chambers oftentimes have directories. Yelp, if you're a food-based business. Industry pages, if maybe you're part of like an association. Travel Oregon, if you're part of tourism, and etc. So the more places you can be listed on and your website's being linked to, the more like you look legitimate. And so those are our top tips in a quick presentation. I also have created, stop sharing for a moment. I'm going to upload a like checklist of things that you can consider for your SEO that we created. And so I'll put that in here in the chat. But before we dive into the panel, any questions on that sprinted version of top tips when it comes to websites and SEO?
Could you say the meta tags again? And are you referencing Facebook, Instagram business, or is that a different term and I just didn't understand?
Yeah, it's a different term.
Okay.
That's a great question. So that's basically like Google and search engine optimization. Meta tags will be like the blue when you
Okay.
search on Google. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
I know meta's just seeping into everything. But it's different in that case. In the file that I'll upload, there's an image version as well. Image of that, so you'll be able to see that as well. Cool. Okay. Well, then without further ado, let's introduce our panel today. And so I'm excited to introduce, we're going to have Kimberly Preston from Sweet Starling Co., Cade Brown from Lost Local Medias, and then Miranda has joined us today from Wrae Beauty. These are amazing businesses. We picked them because they have some great experience with websites, great experience with branding, great experience overall in their business, and they're at different stages of business too, which I think is very helpful for our audience. And so I'm going to hand it over to Jason to lead and moderate our questions today. And let's get started on that.
Thank you, Sierra. Well, we titled this Local Wisdom for a reason. As the slide just showed, we have 3 local business owners who are really good at what they do. And they're also really good and savvy when it comes to websites. So I want to start with you, Cade. Can you briefly introduce yourself, your business, and what you offer, and what website platforms you use?
Yeah, totally. Hey, everybody. So I'm Cade Brown with Lost Locals Media. So we produce photo, video, graphic design, and websites for both individuals and businesses, predominantly at this point, businesses. So that kind of includes anything from shooting like a commercial for a dog trainer to editing marketing content for currently a dating app of all things, to brand design packages for people like Klotzkanai Farmer Collective, who next to me, actually, Sophia is currently working on. And so we build websites using Wix Studios for businesses, just because it's kind of a platform that's both as deep as you want to go and as, in my opinion, user-friendly and learnable as we may need for a handoff or a trade-off to businesses when we're finished building their website so that they can easily maintain it.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Cade.
Yeah.
Kimberly,
Hi,
you want to
good
go
morning.
next? Yeah.
I'm Kim Preston. I own Sweet Starling Co. We have been in the online business space, e-commerce, since 2021, and then we opened our brick and mortar almost exactly a year ago. Really, we are using every piece of Shopify we can right now, including our website design. So our website that you see is completely done through Shopify with a custom template. And we also use them in store for our point of sale. So we're pretty ingrained with them.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. And happy almost anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
Miranda.
Hi, good morning. I'm Miranda. I own Wrae Beauty, and I'm also very tied up with Shopify as well. I use Shopify for everything. My website, I also have a custom template with them. And I drive as much sales as I can through Shopify, and I will also be using it for our brick and mortar that we're going to be opening up hopefully soon.
Cool.
Very cool. Well, we're going to start diving into the questions here, and we'll start with you, Miranda. So when you decided to make a website, did you build it yourself? Did you hire somebody? And how did that go initially for you?
I built it myself. My very first website, it's gone through lots of changes since I started 4 years ago. But I just used a basic Shopify template, and that was okay for a little while. And then I wanted to jazz it up a little bit. And so I looked at cost of purchasing templates that I could edit, and I wasn't really happy with any of that. So I actually just started watching lots and lots of YouTube videos on how to, I'm not going to call it coding because I'm not coding, but how to really go in there into all the settings and customize it and tailor it exactly to how you want your website to look. So I spent a lot of time watching and learning and kind of just self-teaching to make it look the way that I want it to look. So everything is self-taught.
Well, same question to you, Kim. Did you initially make your website? Did you hire somebody, and how's that journey been?
Yeah, so this has been an evolution for Sweet Starling Co. for sure. Our business kind of got started in a wildfire. Like we came up with a product idea and then it went viral overnight. And then we were already kind of behind the eight ball because people were looking to come to a website that we did not have to purchase our product. We were receiving messages, how do I buy this? So we partnered with Shopify and we just used like the most basic template that we could get with a Canva made logo and like threw it on the website and called it a day because that at least gave a centralized place for people to come to. But as we grew and we learned as a business, we really started to understand the importance of the website. So we did do some building, just trying to make it function better, focusing on navigations. But to be honest with you, it was still very ugly. And there was just a missing piece. Like it wasn't something that I was like so proud of. So I partnered with a Pacific Northwest brand designer, and her and I got to work really defining who our target audience is. What is our brand going to look like? What is our logo going to look like? What are our fonts? What are our colors? Like doing the entire build of our brand. And that is now what you see in Sweet Starling Co. today. Once we got our brand package, that kind of gave us the brand identity that we needed to really make the website what it is today. So she did not do my website. I still handle my own website. Um, it, as far as how it's going, it's always a work in progress. I feel like where we are today is so much better than where we were 2 years ago. But we're always learning, you know, tips, tricks, refreshing things. So it's just a constant learn for us.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. I'm gonna kick it over to you, Cade. The question's a little different because obviously you build websites for a living and amongst many other things. So when do you advise someone? I mean, Miranda and Kim have both been on this journey. Maybe they've had a little help here and there, but you're working with people that maybe aren't as savvy as Kim and Miranda and do need help. So at what point do you advise someone to hire help versus building it themselves?
Yeah, so to me, it's very much it's a time investment question. So you can 100% be trained to make a website yourself. You can use YouTube, Google, obviously, and you can kind of train yourself to make a website. And honestly, you can even find a great launching point by spending time prompting AI models on pretty much any facet of web building. And the outcome's not always going to be good, but it's something. And really, as kind of an analogy, the way that I've sort of noted to myself is like, you know, it's a time thing. It's like you can learn to change the transmission fluid on your car. But if it's your first time doing it, it's not easy. It can be kind of risky, especially if you need to get to work tomorrow. So it's just something that you need to kind of measure. So whichever way you go, I'd kind of consider your time needs. And if you have the time to learn the process, kind of know that it takes hundreds of hours to achieve competency in it in most fields, to be honest. So, you know, give it a try if you do have the time, and you may learn at minimum kind of a way to be better prepared and how to articulate your needs to another, even if the outcome isn't kind of like this fully functional self-built website. But, you know, if you need like a guaranteed outcome or a level of certainty, that's when I would sort of consider hiring out. If your time is better placed on the work that you've truly, you know, focused on, and your website is intended to market, I would say kind of keep your mind on the trade-off and do whatever kind of makes the most sense for your business at the time. But again, you know, it's absolutely something you can learn, especially today. It just takes time.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Cade.
Yeah.
I love the transmission oil analogy, and I think that that was Kim probably, and she successfully was able to get to work that next day
Yes.
somehow.
Yes.
I and Kim, you already answered part of this, but when you first started out, what were the top goals for your website, and did you get the results that you expected, or how did you work through that or retool?
Initially, yeah, when I created that website, my goal was like just to get people out of my inbox saying, "How do I buy your product?" to a website where they could just do that 24 hours a day. And for the use case that I just laid out, yes, it worked. But once you kind of broaden your horizons and you realize that your website is a sales channel, um, it wasn't working for that purpose. People were coming to our website to buy one specific product that they heard about somewhere, right? And so what we would notice is our return customer rate was really, really high, but we weren't really attracting a lot of new clientele. We were not really attracting a lot of people that were finding us organically. So we did have to make changes and really start to look at our website as our sales channel and say, how are we going to invest in our sales channel to make this optimized for our target audience? So when people are searching for this product, because they do, people want these kinds of products for their cups, they're going to find us, they're going to come to our website, they're going to feel our brand, they're going to feel consistency across our brand. It's going to lead to trust, and then they're going to purchase from us for the first time. So just kind of to reiterate, that initial use case wasn't working for long-term goals. We did have to make a lot of adjustments to make sure that we were meeting our long-term goals and staying sustainable. So
Wow, great answers. Over to you, Miranda. What when you first started out, what were the top goals for you, and those results, and were they as expected or unexpected?
Um, Obviously, I think everyone's goal is to just drive more sales, right? It did not work. It was not expected. I had zero clue what I was doing when I first started out. I created my website, and as I said before, I just used a very basic free Shopify template. And although I got some traffic, it wasn't ideal. I was still selling mostly like on Instagram through DMs and people commenting on my posts. So it was a mess when I first started out. It took a lot of trial and error. And I always tell people to hire somebody to at least help you a little bit, because I went through so much trial and error, and okay, I can't say wasted because it got me to where I am today, but I had spent so much time that I didn't necessarily have trying to figure out a website on my own, because I could be a little bit stubborn, and I'm very much of like, I have that mentality, like how hard could it be? I might as well learn and just do it myself than hire somebody. And the more I'm in business, I realize that's not always a great mindset to have. But yeah, I would suggest definitely hiring somebody for help or doing a lot of research if you have the time to do that, and don't just throw something up and hope for the best, because I think it can actually have like negative effects to your business later on. It's really hard to build like a strong brand identity if your website is lacking, and if you're just going with the most basic options that you can find through Shopify or Wix or whatever platform that you're using. Yeah, so it did not turn out, to answer your question, it was not what I expected. I wanted to just drive sales, and I got hardly any. I think my first 6 months of having a website, I only had 100 sales, which is very low considering like what I usually do.
Well, Cade, so again, the nature of your business is a little different than Miranda and Kim's, but when you were first starting out,
Mhm.
what were the top goals for your website, and yeah, were you getting the results that you wanted, or the traffic, or?
Yes, I think we got lucky because our presence on social media and the friend groups that we had kind of translated over to website traffic pretty naturally. And what we were trying to do was basically be the most comprehensive index of information that we could. And what I found out was, especially in the beginning, my idea of an index of information was pretty dense. and people's attention spans are gradually getting lower. And so I had to condense information. I had to sort of figure out how to simplify things in a way where they could be informed in the way that a customer of mine would want to be. And what I learned over time was a form of empathy. So I had to sort out, if I were my own customer, what am I actually interested in, and why am I not interested in learning how their cameras work? Why am I not interested in a variety of things that would, generally speaking, bore people about my business compared to what they really want, which is just outcomes. Like, I would like to know that you're going to be trustworthy. And so in the beginning, it was, I was lucky that it functioned the way it did, because I didn't start off necessarily on the right foot. And we've gone through probably, I think we're on our 5th revision of our website now. And to be honest, it's very difficult to predict client behavior. It takes time. We have interesting clients. And so I think that though our conversion rates are high, we're kind of always retargeting to an ideal demographic as we grow. And that's probably true of everyone in business. My assumption would be that everyone's going to, over time, consistently have to iterate on their business. And so realistically, with the website, consistent updates, and always just looking, actually, Mark just asked this question in the chat about analytics. And so we're always taking a look at how people are using the website. And you can, Mark, you can use places like Google Analytics, or if you use something like Wix Studio to build your website, you can see what web traffic is doing, how many clicks you're getting, what they're paying attention to, things like that. And so yeah, it's the goals have always been kind of the same. I want to inform people. I want to get customers, same as everybody. But the results have changed over time, and we've had to really pay attention, analyze those, and change.
Cade, you made a really great point about condensing sometimes what you're delivering, to your ideal customer.
Yeah.
Do you mind jumping in and what are your top 1 or 2 pieces of advice for small business owners when they're looking at launching an initial website, or a rebrand, or growing their site?
So the absolute top #1 thing is going to be harvesting marketing materials. Every web builder that we know, kind of says the same thing, which is that they wish that people came more prepared with media, particularly. And so that's kind of my #1 thing, really condensed. To get more into it, it saves you a lot of time and kind of like conversational turmoil in a way with a web builder, because what you're needing, and what I'm talking about with these materials, is having things like a graphic design branding kit already, having your logos established, maybe even having some additional assets that are useful for something like a website. And then beyond that, it's not limited to just that. So you've got your logo, but then you've got colors that represent your business. I believe Kimberly talked about fonts. So, having fonts that represent your business, incredibly useful, because those port right over to the website. And then you can also, you can have just photos of your service or your product. These don't have to be professional all the time. They can be phone photos, and same with video. I'd even refer people out to just check out what behind the scenes is. People are very interested in how things get made or get done. So I would definitely recommend having some behind the scenes looks at what your business is and what it does. And it's not only relevant for like an e-commerce store, it's definitely relevant for the service industry too. And then really, so audience retention is going to be key. So we're visual learners with low attention spans, and the more visual reinforcement that you can provide, kind of the better. And that's why I really focus on that being like my top #1 thing, is just as many pieces of media as you can gather to kind of have ready for the website builder or for yourself. Because when you go into those templates, you're going to be wanting to replace AI generated imagery with real imagery where you can. And then the second thing, I'd say, just like I said before, kind of being ready to dial things in over time. It's definitely not going to be a one and done. There are no examples of a new website, working in perpetuity. It's probably only going to be a few years before you really want to like do a full refresh. And honestly, it's cliche, but like fail forward. So be okay with maybe sucking a little bit in the beginning, and being cool with just learning what it was that people liked or didn't like. Don't be afraid of just posting it and getting feedback, and have fun with it. It's your thing. So there's not really a right or a wrong. It's just your taste, and hopefully people that are cool enough to like it as much as you do. So that's sort of all I got.
I love that. Cool enough to like it. Kim, same question to you. What are your top 1, 2 pieces of advice for small business owners when they're launching or looking to grow their websites?
Yeah, I feel like my answer kind of goes hand in hand with Cade's. And it's have strong branding established prior to getting the website. I feel like that's the one mistake that I made. I was just so eager to just get something out there. But really, what elevated my business from okay to great was the branding. And it made the website design so much easier because when you're using something like Wix or you're using Shopify, if you're not using a professional, they give you a template and it's up to you to plug in all of your branding into those templates, including colors and font schemes. And um, I feel like prior, my website kind of looked paper mache, like I just picked what looked pretty. And now everything cohesively flows. My customers, they know our branding through and through. They know what to expect from us. It flows through to the packaging, on our products and we ship them out. I feel like having the strong branding established where you really have guidelines that you're working from when you're building your website is going to serve you very, very well. And I think like in the simplest form, that would be your logo, which your logo doesn't always have to represent what you do, right? Like you don't have to have scissors if you're a barber or something like that in your logo. Have a really strong logo that's very scalable because you'll have those in different applications on your website. So if you have something that's really intricate or something like that, it's going to be really difficult when you're building your website to get really clear and concise branding. Have great fonts that attract the clientele that you wish to attract. Our brand is super girly because like 90% of our customers are women, and that's okay. So whoever you're wishing to attract, kind of focus on that. And then create the consistency with your website through any other sales channels that you have. So if you're selling on something like Etsy or you're selling elsewhere, the customer should still be able to feel your consistent branding regardless of which sales channel they're interacting with you in. So I think that's my number one piece of advice is focus on strong branding first. And then when it comes to the website, everything is kind of an A/B test. Like, make some changes. How do you like them? Does this flow in a way that you would want to interact as a customer, kind of like Cade said? And then if not, how do you change it? And now what is your conversion rate? So I look at everything as an A/B test. I make sure I understand my statistics prior to making a change. Then I'll make that change and then look at my statistics and see how that's influencing customer behavior. And I feel like as a self-made website, those are two really, really powerful things that you kind of have in your back pocket to make sure you're streamlining your experience for your customers on your site. So
Yeah, I'm hearing some themes here, around consistency and branding. It's kind of like how Sierra puts a dog on every website she builds. Um, but same question to you, Miranda. 1 or 2 pieces of advice that you give small businesses around their websites.
I feel like all the really great points have already been made. I would say just make sure that your homepage or your landing page clearly states who you are, what you sell, and why somebody might need whatever product or service that you offer. Have a very clean and intuitive navigation, clean design, condense information. Like Cade had said, that was one thing that I really messed up on when I first started is I tried to put way too much information and have 20 different pages of different things, and it was very overwhelming. So condense that, make it very clear, concise, to the point. Yeah, everything else has been said, and I don't really feel the need to repeat everything, but yeah, they had some great points. So
Well, thank you. We're actually going to get into my favorite part of having these panel style munch and learns. For those that were here early, Sierra is struggling with some allergies. I'm struggling on running on very little sleep. So now we're going to turn it over to the Q&A. So I talk less and you guys talk more. But If you have a question for any of our lovely panelists today, feel free to unmute and chime in. You can also use the chat. And yeah, so do we have any burning questions right now?
I don't have a question, but I guess it's kind of a question. So because we're all talking about websites, some of us already have established websites. My website is off of a Wix platform. So I like the way that I can kind of like on the back end easily change things and change the format and add certain things. But I don't always have the eye for like website stuff. So my ask is more so to the team. And if we all have websites, if we would want to kind of like explore each other's websites and then figure out like from a customer standpoint, what flows, what doesn't flow, like what their thoughts are on like designs and stuff like that to try to get more input so we can better finesse our websites.
That's actually, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. You started first. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's something me and two other friends who are also in the same industry that I am, we met on Instagram. We actually reach out to each other if we tweak something on our website or change something up. We actually ask them first, like, hey, go explore this as a customer and let me know your thoughts. Let me know if it works. Give me any feedback. So that's actually a great idea because it does work really well. And it's great to get that feedback and other people's opinions before you just launch to the public. Go ahead, Cade.
Completely agree. Yeah, exactly that. I mean, you know, you can sort of get together and I mean, it'd be really convenient to have an app where a group chat could be started if, you know, there were a collective of small business owners that were kind of like-minded and just wanted to improve each other's business appearance online. I would definitely say that would be fantastic, whether it's using something like a social media app like Instagram, Facebook, etc. Having a group chat of sorts and just like sharing each other's websites and critiquing what you see might be fantastic.
Any other questions out there? You guys are just so thorough. Usually we run out of time here, but I have a question. Are you able to share an example of something that you changed on your websites that improved the traffic or, you know, rankings or what have you, and it was noticeable?
I have an example of that, and that was brand photography. So we had to change our brand photography kind of out of need because Temu was stealing our photos and knocking off our product. But we had to change our brand photography, and we actually partnered with somebody who works in marketing to come through and take a look at our photos. And she just honestly made them more simple. And then she used 3 different photos of the same product. So she would use 2 different views of the product and then 1 photo of the product in use, like a lifestyle photo almost, in our photos. And that drastically changed our website traffic and our Etsy traffic, like instantly. Before we were using 1 photo and it was just like a cell phone photo that wasn't really great. And as soon as we changed brand photography, we noticed a pretty drastic difference in both of those things.
Yeah, I think that goes hand in hand with what Cade was saying earlier, right? About, you know, having those assets and how important that can be.
Yeah. And I don't want it to just effectively come off as like self-promotion because it's very much what we do. But even if you as a business owner have the capability to, whether it's using your new iPhone or Android and or going and buying yourself a small mirrorless camera, just doing something to get quality photos. I'm actually curious, and I wonder if I can pose a question to everybody, if that's okay. I've consistently wondered with my business if in some way, shape, or form it would be useful to people to create a form of a digital class on photography for business. I wonder if that would be useful to people because just having a sense of photographically what works and what doesn't, may be a resource that people, though I believe you can easily get it just by doing a little research on YouTube, being able to get hands-on with a camera or something like that, and getting comfortable with the tool so that you could yourself, when you can't afford to pay someone like our service to do it, being able to kind of create that value for yourself may be really valuable.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
And I think people in the chat agree. And again, this is another reason you and Sophia have been great partners in this community. I mean,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll have to get on that.
Yeah, awesome.
We have a hand raised.
Yep, that's me. I have a question.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't showing up.
Oh, no worries. So do these concepts apply to our social media pages as well? So when we're typing our post up for the day, including those keywords and those tags, does that kind of run the same way as like a Google search? Because I know people are using YouTube and TikTok and Facebook as search engines, and it's becoming increasingly popular. So then do these concepts apply to our posts as well?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I would say, I really wouldn't even think of it separately. I think that actually simplifies it to, though you can kind of placate to each individual platform's trends, which is sometimes a great marketing strategy. When you're bringing up things like keywords, kind of optimizing for what you believe people will be searching relative to your business, it's always a good idea to have that same thing in mind. Even just the same as web pages, where it's like we're condensing information down, simplifying it, and we're maybe even researching. You can use Google keyword search to kind of get a gauge on, in your industry, what people are searching for the most, what keywords are most relevant. And if you use those words and that kind of verbiage in videos that you create for your business, funny enough, AI models are now listening to what you say, and they will rank your videos higher for people who are looking for those relevant things within their algorithm. That works for TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts. It's sort of, it's all the same concepts, but the differences that you'll see are kind of trends within those platforms and what people seem to be gravitating towards most. And honestly, you can have fun with trends. I remember a couple years back in October, a big thing was to drape a white sheet over your pet, and they became a ghost. And so you would market them as your ghost pets during October. And that was huge. And people were using and leveraging that trend concept for their business. And it was very effective. So it's keywords definitely play into it. Watching trends definitely play into it. And the cool thing is these unified ideas play into not just social media, but your website, and sort of when you get a grip on them, I think that they can really work for you almost anywhere.
All right. Thank you for answering my question. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
It was a great question. Do we have any other questions for our panelists? I mean, I have some backup here, but you guys have been pretty amazing. I think that the question I always ask, Miranda and Kim were very much self-starters, and whether they stumbled or not, came out on the other side looking and seemingly great. But Miranda, if you could do it all over again, you just had endless amounts of money. Would you throw it at a different platform? Would you take a different approach? What would you do differently if you just had?
Yeah, I don't know if I would use a different platform because I've only experienced Shopify, so I can't really compare. However, I would spend the money upfront to hire a designer and get a full branding package. I really think that is the foundation of building a strong brand and building a strong identity and getting and retaining customers. So I would pay for that. I would also pay for a professional website that's completely tailored to our brand. And I would also hire somebody to run all the social media, do our weekly posts, answer, DMs, everything. I would completely hire out for all of that because it's, as I've learned, it's so much easier to delegate than try and learn every single skill yourself. And I'm just speaking personally, this may be different for other people, but it gets very overwhelming. And I've made so many mistakes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I've spent so much time trying to get a solid website, a solid brand, a solid customer base when I could have hired out all of that work and just focused on, getting more customers and making more product and that sort of thing. So definitely hire out if you can afford it. If not, it's totally okay to be self-taught. There's so many great, amazing resources out there in this day and age. Utilize YouTube, Google, AI even. There's a lot of different options to teach yourself.
Yeah, when we're working with clients, obviously the business owner, they're really good at their thing, right? Their craft. And it time and time again, we're always trying to do everything. It's usually because we don't have money to throw at other professionals. But I think the thing that comes up most often is around, especially bookkeeping, where you're really good at your thing, but maybe you're not an accountant. You don't have that bookkeeping mindset. And same goes for marketing and websites and stuff like that. So, if I think maybe it was Cade that made the comment about you just have to weigh, that time that you're putting towards uh, the website or social media or whatever it might be, and see if it makes sense to actually hire somebody out for that. But we do know that not everyone is sitting on a pile of money and able to do things, but there are some tools and some resources like Lost Locals here that are able to help us sort of navigate those a little bit easier.
So we're close to time, and I have a final slide, but I would like to thank everybody on our panel. Just round of applause for you guys. The really thorough, really great answers, and I think very relatable for business owners. So thank you. I'm going to quickly turn off those spotlights so then we can just go up to the last slide. And there we go. All right. And so cool thing about this class is it's part of a series of classes. We do free classes every month. It sounds like we're going to try to get a photo class, which I think is a great idea, Cade. So we might do that as a one-off. But every month we do these classes. We're going through a marketing series right now, so that's why we did the website and SEO today. Earlier, I think it was in May, we did a basic social media class, and now we're excited for July to do an advanced social media class. There's two options for this class on Thursday, July 17th. There's 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., which is a 2-hour class. The reason why we're making it 2 hours is it's actually going to be hands-on. So bring your laptop if you want to attend that one. And we're going to actually be working on activities. If you need some time to even work on doing some social media posts, this might be a great commitment to do that. But we're going to show some tools on the back end to help make your life easier and learn more advanced things around social media marketing. We also have a shorter version of the class that won't have that hands-on option, but it is on Zoom from 6 to 7 p.m. Chrissy Marcourt, my coworker, she's amazing. So we're excited to have her lead this class. And then we are going to host a class in August. We're going to be posting it soon on the topic of AI for business. And that's also going to include hands-on workshops and prompts that we'll be able to give you, and lots of different kinds of AI tools for business. So we're excited to do that in August, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you all for attending today. We'll stay on a little bit after if you have some questions for us, but feel free to come reach out to us anytime. And again, thank you, panelists. You were amazing. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much. There was a comment in the chat made by Danielle, and it is a struggle for small businesses starting out and having the resources like we were talking about a little bit earlier and making those financial investments. I think one of the great things about what we're offering here is, some free education and content for small business owners, but lean into your community. I think it was Miranda that was talking about, sort of the community of like-minded businesses that she's able to ping, or the group chat, or whoever it might be. So feel free to reach out to us at any point, and we want to be here as a free resource to you. And there's some more